Family All-Star Jamboree. Thank you for being here. I hope that most of you, if not all of you, will be joining us all weekend. If you haven't picked up a ticket, please pick up a ticket, hang out all weekend. There's going to be more live painters, there's going to be more musicians, there's going to be more ceremony and more high weirdness by mail. So don't hesitate to, support TAM integration and all of the wonderful artists that and teachers that are going to be here all weekend. I'm really quite happy that we were able to do this with our friends. Again, we did something very similar last year, I believe, and I'm just always stoked to be able to see your faces. Whenever I see all of the members of the San Francisco Psychedelic Society, I just feel my heart open to, it's so funny because like I look at all of you and like my heart opens and I feel this love, but it's all like unique. It's like the way my heart opens for Seth, it's different than the way it opens for Danielle, the way that it's different for Emily and Jazz, my friend now too. And it's just really nice to have so many flavors of love all at once. And with that, welcome. I'm looking forward to being a part of your ceremony. I'm just going to take a back seat now.
Thanks, Daniel. It's been real. I'm sure we all love you in a different way too. Feels really good to be participating with you, and you've done so much to create and hold space for all these lovely people. I think we all feel very ready to bring our best game today, our most ceremonious mindsets.
And for those that don't know, Daniel was actually a part of the Psychedelic Society before we were, and he's just a part of the legacy of SF Psychedelic Society.
For like a week.
That was a big week.
It was a big week, but it was like a week. Well, I remember it was you, Seth, it was you, me, and Kim at Finnegan's Wake.
Yep, that meeting happened.
Yep, what's that?
Yeah, I totally remember that.
That was a meeting.
It's a very cold day.
Chilly. We were outside.
Yeah, it was nice.
All right.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for your service to the psychedelic community, to humanity at large, and just like deep bow of gratitude for the work that you do, holding space for so many people and the continuous way that you show up for community. We really appreciate you. And just honoring everyone else that's here today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. We are the San Francisco Psychedelic Society. We are an evolutionary healing community that is dedicated to building global psychedelic culture through education, connection, and integration. And my name is Danielle Negrin. I'm the director of the Psychedelic Society, and I want to introduce you to my co-directors. Seth?
Hey guys, yeah, I see some familiar faces in here. For everybody that doesn't know me, I've been with it since the beginning, except 1 week, just like Danielle. And yeah, mainly I go by the title of Director of Communications. So that kind of means a lot of different things at different times, but kind of a, master of none, but jack of all trades for the Psychedelic Society, and just have a lot of fun putting my creative juices into this, I don't know, whatever it is. It's a beautiful container that's kind of grown itself. And this is just another expression of that energy. So thanks guys for showing up to be in the container with us. And I'll pass it over to Emily. Thanks.
Thank you all so much for being here. It is such an honor and a pleasure. My name is Emily Ruth, and I'm the social media sorceress of the Psychedelic Society. So you guys are seeing me on the socials. And also, if you saw the live painting earlier, I also go by Unicorn Face, and I'm a local artist here in San Francisco doodling mushrooms. So it's just such a pleasure and an honor to be with you all tonight. And thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this with all of you.
Thanks, Emily. We also want to welcome our dear friends, Jazz LeiAmora and Resonance Bandwidth. Jazz is with Gabriel Hineak, and they will be blessing us with angelic frequencies and music tonight, medicine music tonight. So we're really, really looking forward to having the opportunity to co-create with them in this sacred space. Seth, do you want to lead us off with the slideshow we've prepared?
Yeah, let's get that going. Let's see. How's that looking?
Beauty. All right.
Community integration ceremony.
So tonight, our intention is that we are uniting our collective consciousness in a sacred virtual space. And the reason why we're doing this is that we believe that ceremony is an integral part of the integration process. It can be with medicine and also without medicine. And it's a way to honor our collective healing and self-knowledge, honor our ancestors, and let go of things that no longer serve us. And tonight we will be exploring ritual and reverence around a virtual fire. So if you have a candle nearby you, we just welcome you to light a candle in your space, even light a lighter. And tonight we will be guiding you a little bit about education around what ceremony is. And we will also be walking you through some writing prompts and exercises so that we can all collectively let go of what no longer serves us, set our intentions for integrating our future and what we're growing into. And so I want to welcome Jazz to lead us off in an opening song to open up the ceremony space. And Jazz, your mic is on mute.
Heck yeah. Woo!
Beautiful. Thank you so much for opening up our container.
It's pretty good music. It's pretty good. Thank you so much.
We have some beautiful comments from people in the audience expressing their gratitude for the music and for those frequencies. Thank you so much. And there's definitely more to come. So everyone, please stick around with us for this ceremony experience.
And pour your hearts into the chat, guys. We really want to see it. This is the right time.
Seth, you want to bring us back to our show?
Let's bring it on back to the show of slides. All right. Do you want to take it on this one, or do you want to start on the next slide? Can't remember.
I'll start on the next one.
All right, great. So my whole purpose, guys, for this slideshow is to be like ceremony for dummies guy. You know, I really want to just like help bridge this world for myself, because I didn't come from a place of having any ceremony, having any connection to sacred or divine in my life growing up. So it's completely going from nothing to something. And that's my process. And I just want to invite you guys all into that process. So I just, start with this little quote here. It's like, when it comes to ceremony, we walk a line. We walk this line of learning about it and at the same time creating it. Like we do with most things, if we're honest, we're practicing, we're trying. Just like even me speaking to some odd 73 people right now. I wasn't as good as I am at that today. Yes, I was worse at this at one point. And it's with practice, with putting in the effort and not being afraid to try it. And that we get better, and that I've gotten a lot better. And I just want this to be like a real opening invitation to anybody, whether they feel like, all right, dude, we get it. Or if you're like, that's a good point. No matter if you feel close or far from the concept of the sacred or the divine or ceremony or oneness with nature and all things, or however you look at these terms, I think it's just about exploration at the end of the day, and trying to be really present, authentic, and aware of who we are today and where we want to be going. So yeah, for that, I'll pass it to you, Danielle.
So for me personally, ceremony played a huge part in my healing process, and my healing process coming off of psychiatric drugs and completely transforming my life out of addiction. And a lot of that work was actually done with Jazz and Gabrielle. So it's really special to be in this space with them here today. And I'm just going to open us up with a prayer that I wrote in honor of opening up the 4 directions, calling in the 4 directions, and also honoring all the different medicines that have played a part in many of our healing processes. And then I will pass it off to Gabrielle to share a little bit about ceremony and his lineage. So this is our 4 directions prayer. Thank you for today's sunrise, for the life and breath within me, and for all of your creations. Hear my prayer. As the day begins and the rising sun, I ask the sacred ancestral medicine spirits to be with us. Here we call in the 4 directions. Done as a form of protection to add more power to the magic we are practicing, as a way to feel connected to nature and the cosmos during our meditation here today. Calling in the 4 elements and how each element relates to psychedelics, the effects, journey, space, and integration process. Sacred mushroom of the East, where the Father Sun rises in the air. Be with us. Thank you for your presence in our initiation ceremony today. Guide our steps and walk the circle of life with mental clarity, thought, open-mindedness, and learning. Connect our consciousness with the mycelium of all beings so that we may always feel belonging. May we step into our power through knowledge, community, and love. Blessings and farewell, sacred mushroom of the East. Wachuma of the South, where the warm air comes to us. Be with us. Thank you for your presence in our ceremony today, bringing healing, activation, and inspiration to all. Help us grow our inner fire so that we may ignite passion wherever we go. Bring into balance the physical, mental, and spiritual, creating a gateway to transform and strengthen our spirits. May we awaken our fire within so we all know our place and activate our purpose here on earth. Blessings and farewell, Wachuma of the South. Mama Ayahuasca of the West, powers of water, be with us. Thank you for your presence in our ceremony today. As each day passes, help us listen to emotions, fluidity, intuition, and develop compassion for ourselves and others, for the plants and fungi and all of Mother Earth's creations. May we grow as a strong vine, deep within the jungle of our hearts, strongly rooted in our temple with integrity, calling in nurturing to our inner child in all ways. May we be held, supported, and nurtured by Mama Gaia. Thank you for sharing your deep mysteries and teachings with us. We are deeply reverent. Help us activate love and empathy throughout this ceremony, activating every heart and rippling it out to the planet. Blessings and farewell, Mama Ayahuasca of the West. Grandfather Iboga of the North, earth element, where the cold winds come from. Be with us. Help us walk our path with courage, grounding, patience, and growth. Let us remember the ancient tradition of ceremony and ritual. Help us heal lifetimes of our deep ancestral roots so that we may access truth by transforming our past and future. Guide us down the path to alchemize our pain into power. The plant and fungi kingdom offers unspoken wisdom to open hearts. Take time to slow down and feel the oneness. Wisdom lives in the stillness. Blessings and farewell, Grandfather Iboga of the West. At the heart of the shamanic path is the contract to live in harmony with nature, self, community, and spirit. Heal our minds, heal our bodies, bring light, joy, and awareness to our spirits so that we may serve to the highest good everywhere. So I just want to briefly welcome in Gabrielle to share a bit about his lineage, and I've learned so much from Gabrielle in ceremony, and just want to see if Gabrielle, if you want to share a bit about your lineage and what ceremony has meant to you in your life.
Still muted.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here sharing. First of all, brief introduction, where I come from Brazil. I am originally from Rio de Janeiro, and my family, my grandmother actually was the first one in my ancestor lineage that started drinking ayahuasca. The 80s, the ayahuasca came out of the jungle in the rainforest on the far north of Brazil, came to the south, to the coast, initially to Rio and São Paulo. And my grandmother was a part of this pioneer movement of expanding the traditions from the rainforest through the country. And there's where my mom was raised already in a tradition of the Santo Daime, which is a ayahuasca religious movement that was originated in the early 20th century, 1920 more or less. And I was born and raised in that tradition. So since my mom was pregnant, she was doing ceremonies, and I was lucky to be born during one of our longest ayahuasca ceremony nights in our calendar. And since that, I've been a part now of this tradition and dedicating my life to the prayer, to be in ceremony and consecrating. And what I learned, I believe it's very little bit, because the medicine every time teach me the same, that is we only know very little bit. It's like we're a grain of sand and on the beach, or a drop of water in the ocean, right? And all the knowledge and all that have in the spirit world, it's very big. And I believe with this plant medicines and these teachers, we can access this whole and understand our place inside ourselves and in the world, and in our internal universe. So I learned that we have to be humble and to learn from the teacher, the plants that expand our consciousness, our awareness, our vision, to see ourselves, to grow as a spirit, to connect the great spirit. So for me, every time we come in a circle, and we can share prayer, bringing the intention. Intention is always very important, I believe, especially with plant medicine. Every time we sit, and we have an intention that brings us here, and we can share that in a circle, and this energy that we build, this current, it's very powerful, creating this very magical field of energy. And through music, many times, in the power of the plants and sharing music, we are able to connect with some different dimensions of with the beings from the forest, celestial beings, and we can see in the visions, we can hear, we can really access the whole universe. So I consider myself and my family and my kids, we are all part of this tribe where we believe in the plants as our teachers, and I consider myself very lucky to be able to have this awareness, because I really enjoy and I learn a lot with the plants. So I just like to share this and giving thanks to ayahuasca, and in my country we call daime or santo daime, and also all the plant, the plant medicine that we have around us here, the peyote, really present, really strong, then cannabis, washuma, jurema, and especially here the mushrooms, that is really magic. So I just like to express my gratitude for all these plants, and ask the universe to protect all these beautiful gifts that we can have accessible in abundance for everyone who needs. Aho.
Aho.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Gabrielle. Honoring you and your family and all that you've brought to the lives of those around you, and to the plants, to humanity, and to all the spaces that you create around the world. Thank you for your service.
All right, should we jump back into the few of these messages that we've prepared? Just want to say that was really beautiful, and I'm going to share a little bit about, you know, a relationship I've developed with a book that has provided me probably even a drop within the ocean of the drop that Gabriel has had access to in his life through connection to his family, his ancestors, and something that's really beautiful and I definitely admire and perhaps envy on some level, you know, this sense of disconnection, I think, that is so normalized to so many of us that we don't even look around and have very many, you know, we don't really have many reference points of what that could look like, what that tribe or bigger community could be. And I think for for a lot of people seeking psychedelics, they can really get a sense of what may be lost or what may be more meaningful, connecting, grounded. I know that that is one of the main lessons and messages that I've received, is more about like what little I have, but how important what I have is, and to really be super grateful for that. And you know, this team is a huge part of that, being able to connect and work with amazing voices like we just heard and like we have on our team here today. And I think a book that really, you know, helped me bridge this gap to see myself as a part of this and not just an outsider looking in is this book called Braiding Sweetgrass. And maybe some of you have heard of it. I hope you have. And if you haven't, then I really can only recommend checking it out. Great things. But for me, it provided a really great context around bringing together indigenous practices and kind of like the Western mindset. This woman, Robin Wall Kimmerer, the author, was raised as a Native American from the Potawatomi tribe. It's probably an incorrect pronunciation, but and she also became a kind of a Western botanist as well, working in labs and things like that and doing studies. One mindset is everything is all connected, and it's about seeing everything as like a big tapestry in a lot of ways and how everything's connected. And the other is about, you know, removing the connections, isolating things, you know, getting very clear experimental control groups and things like that. So I think it gives a great perspective on what we have and what we may have missed. So I'm going to go through some quotes that really stand out to me and help me understand a little bit around connect to this concept of ceremony, which maybe felt like in some senses, like a silly affair. Like, what are we doing? What's the point? And this first quote comes from page 35 in the book, and Robin is speaking about her mother, and just kind of what, I'll just read this first. My mother had her own more pragmatic ritual of respect, the translation of reverence and intention into action. And this is really what had me right off the bat. This is what hooked me, because saying, what's the point of this? Well, if it leads me to do things in my life, change my life, by thinking differently, by acting differently, set the scene and prepare that, all of a sudden I can relate to that. From the next page, ceremonies large and small have the power to focus attention to living awake in the world. And I just love that so much, because what could be, you know, what could really be more important than being present with the life that we have here? The most limited resource that any of us have is this time. You know, it's so short, if you so choose to see it that way. But yeah, this ability to focus our attention to really where we're at and to really make the most of this life and to have to move that into action. Ceremony is a vehicle for belonging to a family, to a people, and to the land. And I know that through psychedelics, especially for me, you know, this sense of connection. Oh, I'm a part of everything. It's really great. It's a beautiful feeling, but also it's so abstract in a sense. But, you know, really also led me on this path to start to get to know the plants and like learn about the beings, you know, this life force energy around me. It really helped me connect to other friends and build stronger relationships and kind of find a kind of a new family that I could relate to. That, I think, is the power of ceremony. It marries the mundane to the sacred. And just to kind of carry on those themes, you know, it wasn't just a wall of green that I was passing as I walked through the woods, which was still a beautiful feeling, still nice to be out there. But to have that deeper relationship from this moment of ceremony where I say, oh, this is important. These things are sacred. How can I go deeper? How can I broaden those relationships? How can I feel that sacredness in my day-to-day? You know, really to be like, oh, I actually know these different plants. And in our opening slide and closing slide, it's like some local plants from around here that I've actually started to develop a relationship with that I feel it really gives back to me. It feeds me because I have like these friends that I know in the woods. I know where to get some cool scents. I know where to get some cool tastes. I know, and I think it's the desire to have those relationships for me is born from this depth of connection through the ceremony space. And from much later in the book, ceremony focuses attention so that attention becomes intention. And if you stand together and profess a thing before your community, it holds you accountable. So right now you're witnessing like the full circle I'm talking about, going from the attention to like, oh, I see these things around me, to this intention to wanting to deepen that relationship. And here I'm telling you guys about it. And now you're going to expect me to be that guy. And so am I. So I'm going to keep on building those relationships. Ceremonies transcend the boundaries of the individual. They resonate beyond the human realm, which I can't confirm or deny, but these acts of reverence are powerfully pragmatic. And these are ceremonies that magnify life. And that's really what got me from my like super logical mind. You know, they're pragmatic. Like it just improves your life. It's not like you do it for some, so that in the afterlife you have a better experience in heaven or something like that. It's just like in this moment, in this life, having more attention, more awakeness. And in many indigenous communities, the hems of our ceremonial robes have been unraveled by time and history, but the fabric remains strong. And this for me is just more of an insight. In the dominant society, those ceremonies seems to have withered away. I suppose there are many reasons for that. The frenetic pace of life, dissolution of community, the sense that ceremony is an artifact of organized religion, forced upon participants rather than a celebration, joyfully chosen, right? Like we're waking up to this a little bit, like that does sound pretty good. Of course, I don't have to convince anybody here. And the ceremonies that persist, birthdays, weddings, funerals, focus only on ourselves, making rites of personal transition. So there we have it again. It's like this inward focus, this severance from the people and the places around us that are so mirrored in the journey in this book, you know, of the botanist, you know, removing this plant from its environment, removing it to study just it alone, as opposed to seeing it in the context and the rich web of life. To have agency in the world, ceremonies themselves should be reciprocal co-creations, organic in nature, in which the community creates ceremony and the ceremony creates community. And I just love that so much. Here we are gathered together. Hopefully, you know, some of our, you know, this is our community. We have, I call it toroid, you know, it goes out, comes back in, it goes out even farther, comes back in. And I believe that we are now going to pass it on to Danielle. Just in closing, I just want to say thank you guys for being with me in that little journey through my process and what I've kind of started to take into myself and a new worldview. And I'd love to see in the chat, you know, what resonated for you guys, and if you guys have any similar thoughts or feelings and what you kind of took away from that. So thanks a lot, and Danielle, take it away.
Thank you, Seth. And I really appreciate how you walked through that book, Braiding Sweetgrass, and the power of ceremony and what it's meant to you and how you've been able to integrate that into your life and integrate it into our community at large. And I'd like to just bring back Jazz for our next part. Jazz, can you hear us? For the next part of our sharing circle. And Jazz has been not only a sister and a friend, but a spiritual teacher to me in my life and to the lives of many others, and has taught me so much about the importance of honoring our ancestors and honoring the people that have come before us and how important that wisdom is in our lives. And Jazz, I'd love to know if you would like to share a bit about ancestral wisdom and what that means to our lives and your life, and how we can maybe lead us into the next part of our ceremony and writing prompts.
Howsh, everybody. We just had a little ceremony here. Joining all the multiple ceremonies happening at once all over the world. I have a little verse that I wrote for a song that I'm working on, so I'll sing that really quickly. Freedom, freedom for my ancestors, freedom for all my brothers and sisters. I said, freedom, oh, freedom, freedom for my ancestors, freedom for all my brothers and sisters. So, ancestors to me have been really powerful. Recently, two of my grandmothers, my fathers and from my mother's side, have been visiting me. I've been blessed with the opportunity to see apparitions or ghosts or whatever you want to call them from the other side, and that kind of woke up a big realization that our ancestors are always with us at all times. You know, they say that the work that we're doing in the teepee or in the yurt or on Zoom, we are healing 7 generations in the past and 7 generations in the future. And in this sense of loneliness that a lot of people feel in our part of the world, one way that I've been finding that sense of belonging, I like how you said that, Danielle, is being greeted by my grandmothers that I never met because they passed away when my parents were very young. And knowing that they're always present, you know, and that they come through us. And so now in ceremony, it's not just about blasting off, but it's also connecting in, you know, into my genes that are my bloodlines or my family, or even the galactic, you know, DNA that's in us, connecting to that too, right? Because if you're here right now, you know, you're pretty ancient if you want to do this kind of work and you're thirsty for this work. And so one way that I honor whenever I come into ceremony, I always call them in, you know, because before my prayer was, I'd like to call my guides, my archangels, my angels, and, you know, all of them, but I include my ancestors of the land that we reside on, ancestors of our own lineage, ancestors of the lineage of medicines that we were bringing into our life. I think all of that is so important to kind of satiate the question, like, where do I come from and who am I, you know? So one of the greatest ways to connect with your ancestors, especially in your own lineage, is eating the foods that they liked, you know, or calling on the names of your grandfathers or grandmothers or anyone in your lineage before you're about to consecrate a ceremony. And even at night, just saying, thank you. Thank you for giving me this blessed life that I get to live. And thank you for toiling, you know, or tilling the earth and planting all those seeds so that I could arrive here and be one of the branches on your trees, you know. So I think that's everything that I'd like to share about ancestors. Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you, Jazz, for your continued potent transmissions and how you weave the tapestry of the stars into all that you do and all that you speak. So I'd love to open it up to our community, everyone that's here with us today. If you have a paper and pen, or if you're on your computer, obviously you are, maybe taking out your notepad, and let's take a moment to begin our writing prompts and begin reflecting on how have your ancestors shown up in your life? Have you been connected to your lineage? Do you feel connected to your history? What is the wisdom that is being passed down in your family, in your lineage, and just reflecting on where you come from and your relationship to your ancestors? And as you're doing this writing prompt for the next 5 minutes, thinking about, like, why is it important to honor our ancestors and who are you honoring? And as you do this, Jazz and Gabrielle are going to bless us with a beautiful song. Ouch, ouch. I love that song so much.
That was so great. It's amazing. So fun. Thank you guys so much.
So Emily, do you want to lead us in our next writing prompt? Actually, before we do that, I would love to hear from the audience and everyone that's participating with us today. If you wanted to share a bit about the ancestors that you are honoring today, who are you honoring? Are you honoring your families, people that you come from? Are you honoring ancestors of the medicines in which you partake? Let us know in the chat. We'd love to hear from you.
I wrote some things down, so can I share real quick?
Yes, let's hear it.
All right. I'm saying why. I believe that even the real things that are very real, even they have like a side of them that's not real. And that's like the story side of it. And I think for our personal ourselves, like these stories have the power to, and that they definitely do impact us deeply, whether we're aware of it or not. And that the story of ancestors is very real. There's people that came before us. And also there's a sense that it's a very like connective oriented story. It gives us people to be grateful to. It gives us a connection to wisdom, culture, and I think also it could probably help us with this fear of death that I think a lot of people are afflicted by on some level, because it's like, if we can honor the people that came before us, then they live on. And if we can believe in a world where that's what happens, then we will too, you know. Anyway, those are my answers.
I love that. Thank you, Seth. And I think it's so important that, you know, we don't repeat history in the sense of ignoring the past and not knowing where we come from, and starting to really integrate that back into our lives. And that remembrance is so important. Thank you for your potent reflections.
Thank you.
I'd love to share a little bit of what people are talking about in the chat. Emily, do you want to read the responses?
Absolutely. We have a really beautiful reflection here from Alvin, who said, "It's important to honor my ancestors because they are the blood that I fear to lose that they've already lost. They are the fear that might arise in the medicine space in the form of their sacrifice. They are the rise of the sodden earth, wet with tears after winter, blossoming into grass. The same grass that spring rabbits play in. I am honoring the ones in the past whose culture lives on in the feeling of warmth that I have around others who come from where I am from. The coqui song at night and the parrots in the jungle." I don't know if I said that right. It's the frogs. But that is so beautiful. Thank you, Alvin. And Cedar Sky Love said, "Today I am honoring my personal ancestors, feeling my great grandmother as she visits me sometimes, and the ancestors in general," which is beautiful. Sai says, "Mushroom is the original ancestor. Bury me in a shroom suit. Like your style." David says, "Honoring my ancestors on my father's side who cared for me and loved me all my life, and honoring my ancestors from my mother's side who are strange and unknown to me, but I continue to reach for them." Oh my gosh, there's so many of these beautiful reflections, you guys. You want me to keep going? I'm like, they're all beautiful. You guys are all amazing. I'll just read a few more. Jeffrey is honoring your father's grandparents. "I knew them when I was young. They were gardeners with a beautiful garden shed that they let me poke around in. I think my love of gardening stems from them." Stems. Did you mean to do a pun? That was beautiful. Oh my goodness. Let's see. And yes, it was a frog song. Marissa, I love your reflection. "My ancestors paved the way, laid brick by brick, upon which I walk today. From Ireland and the Druids, from North Vietnam and the Buddhists and Taoists, from the Americas and the Central Indigenous. It has taken some time and soul centering, but through their lens, I walk with the utmost gratitude and see so clearly that my mission is to carry the torch with grace, resilience, and pride that we are still here today." Brian says, "Honoring my ancestors, all of our ancestors, plants, people, fungi alike. Also honoring the Hualapai and Southern Paiute people." Please correct me. I would love to say that correctly. "Upon whose lands I rest my head. Thanks and blessings. All this is beautiful." And Gary, says, honor the ancestors who survived multiple ice ages for us. Amen to that. Thank you, everyone who shared. Those are all beautiful.
Thank you. And in honor of today is the first day that Albert Hoffman took the first unintentional dose of LSD. So I would love to bring Albert Hoffman and honor Albert Hoffman into this conversation. I believe the bicycle day on Monday was the day that he intentionally took LSD. And I also want to honor Daniel Jabor, who is the founder of the Psychedelic Society. It was his death anniversary a few days ago, and bringing him into this space. Thank you, Daniel, for the portal, all the work that you've done for the psychedelic community at large. And Daniel started the first psychedelic society, that is the San Francisco Psychedelic Society. And I also want to honor Maria Sabina, one of the first curanderas of sacred mushrooms, and just recognizing all of the shoulders that we stand on here in the psychedelic community. So Em, do you want to lead us into our next exercise for writing?
I would absolutely love to. Can we bring back those beautiful slides, please? And I will walk us right through. So for our next reflection, I would love for you all to take a few minutes and write down and reflect on what obstacles stand in the way of your growth. What no longer serves you? What can you commit to burning away for tomorrow? So while we listen to this next beautiful song, if you guys want to write down whatever you'd like to throw into our imaginary bonfire, we would love that. And take it away, Jazz.
Fly, little butterfly, and don't you quit. No, it won't be easy, but you'll get the hang of it. Yeah. Go on, little butterfly, and flap those wings. Go on, fly higher and higher, high. Oh, hey. I know you've been living your life a little caterpillar down on the ground and foraging for all you found, and wherever something hits you upside up, and the evolution takes you beyond a little size, your dimension. Hardly could I begin to mention the great purpose that you bring to this world, and I see something you don't know could become true in you. Hey, hey, oh. Go a little butterfly, and don't you quit. I know it won't be easy, but you'll get the hang of it. So go a little butterfly, don't you fear. Try day, and it will all become clear. Yeah. But fly, oh little butterfly, fly. Fly, oh little butterfly, fly, fly. Oh, I got you for life. And in day, I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe.
Thank you, Jazz. And Jazz beautifully wrote that song. And Jazz, do you want to share a little bit about what inspired that song?
Sure. So the butterfly, really, definitely an animal we can all want to relate to, you know, knowing that we're transforming. But I had a really good friend, and she was in a stage in her life where she was using a lot of synthesized medicines to escape, you know. And so I began writing this song for her when she decided to go back to school, to college. And I said, I have the first verse of this song for you, but I'm not going to finish it unless you finish one full year of school with good grades. Because I'm like everyone's mom, so. And now she has her degree and she's crushing life. And also, whenever a writer, I feel like as a writer, I relate to it, everything that I write, because you have to come from a place that, you know, resonates and that is truthful if you want to make something good, you know. And just knowing that, you know, even if you have self-doubt in this moment about where you are in your life or how you are with your family or your relationships or how you want a relationship or whatever is happening with you, is that everything is constantly changing and we're always in that state of metamorphosis. And the butterfly is just such an incredible way to relate to something that we all want within ourselves. So, and I actually made a music video, really amazing one. So check out my link in my bio if you want to hear it again. Thank you.
Thank you, Jazz. You could put that link in bio in the chat. That'd be amazing. I'm sure everyone would love to check that out. And who else can relate to wanting to identify or identifying with being a butterfly and going through that process of transformation? I see Emily flapping her wings, Seth rocking his head, flapping his wings. I still feel like I'm breaking out of that cocoon right now and going through that butterfly transformation process. I'd love to share. What were you saying, Seth? I don't know what you're saying, but I see it's fired with some passion. I'd love to share something I wrote during that beautiful butterfly song, and then I also want to hear from all of you, everyone that's here in this community together. Seth said, "You got this, girl." Thanks, man. I appreciate the support. I'd love to hear from the community. What are you letting go of? What are you burning away in our sacred virtual fire today? And for me, I'm still letting go of addiction. I've let go of addiction to substances, but I feel still an addiction to technology and this like reliance on technology. So today I'm gonna burn away that addiction to technology, to social media. I'm living on the beach now. I'm gonna set this intention to be a lot more present with the surroundings around me. And I'm also letting go of any limiting beliefs that hold me back, and letting go of a scarcity mindset. I tend to kind of like live in fear sometimes around scarcity, and feeling like I don't have enough resources, and I want to let that go. And I'm letting go of physical pain in my body and discomfort, and alchemizing that pain into power. And what I can burn away today, I'm still shedding layers of trauma that's been stored in my body. And tomorrow I'm going to burn away that trauma and that attachment to the trauma, and attachment to the beliefs that the trauma is always going to be here. It doesn't have to always be here. And it's just part of that transformation and that evolutionary process that is part of the butterfly. And I'm throwing out belief systems and attachment to people, and throwing out that self-doubt. And sometimes the only one that we can be in our way is ourselves. Emily, do you want to read some of the responses that we're getting from our community?
I absolutely do. And you know what? There's a few that seem to echo the sentiment that you shared, the lifelong technology addiction. I think honestly, like several generations now have probably been raised with that to overcome. Holly says, you're letting go of overworking and the idea that I have to earn my rest, knowing that you deserve to rest. That's huge. Cedar Sky Love, you said my limited beliefs and thoughts that are holding me back, that fear state. That is a good thing to burn away in that ceremonial fire. Absolutely. Chris says American life can be traumatic. You know, we may have to just let go of some of those traumatic moments. Let's see. We have a couple more. Cedar Sky Levy said stories that disempower me, and transitioning them into ones that empower me, taking control of that narrative. Alvin says silence, the inaction that stems from silencing my inner child, burning away the decaying skin that is shrouding my inner child. Sai says letting go of physical pain and fear of pain. Philip is leaving behind worries about feeling rejected by others. Wow. Yeah, those are also good, you guys. These are really meaningful. Oh, and Julia adds, I'm burning away the tendency to place my value on others' perception of me and letting that constrict me from being freely me. Burning away the sense of unworthiness I think came from abandonment. Letting go of an autopilot habit so I can more fully awaken to each moment. That was a juicy reflection. Thank you so much, all of you, for sharing those.
Yeah, thank you all for your authenticity and your integrity with sharing, and for those that haven't said anything in the chat but are here with us, we honor you too, and know that you're just as much a part of this as those that are more vocal in the chat. And just pray that you all are resonating with this process and this ritual that we're going through. And part of our intention behind it is that you can incorporate this ritual in your lives, and continue to do this process, maybe on a full moon or in other times of your life. This doesn't have to just be now. So Emily, would you like to lead us in the last writing prompt?
Absolutely. So now we would love to ask you to reflect on what seedlings you have in hand that are ready for more care, more room to spread their roots. What care will those seeds need to grow big, healthy, and strong, and to give more life force out than they take in? So as Jazz plays this next song, go ahead and reflect to yourself and take any notes on what you would like to grow and nurture.
what's on my mind. I'm coming home. Back to mama. Yeah, I want to be free, so free, like the dolphin in the sea, like the flowers and the bees, like the birds in the trees. I wanna fly so high, like the eagle in the sky. And when my time has come, I am gonna lay down and down. And when my time has come, I am gonna rise, rise so very bright. Hey, 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 it's the natural mystic. It's the natural mystic. Hey, hey, it's the natural mystic.
Alô, grande espírito.
Oh, medicina. Just press where the. Nope. I got it.
Oh, it's not every day that you have world-class musicians on your Zoom screen. So what a gift that is. Thank you so much. I'd love to hear from our community. What seeds are you planting? What are you growing into? In what ways can those seeds be watered? Let us know in the chat. Emily, what are you growing into?
Oh, I love that you asked me. You know what? I am growing into living from the heart, just opening my heart to this journey, the world, whatever is unfolding in this present moment. I'm committing to that. And you know what? Along those lines, I'm just seeing some beautiful reflections in the chat here. You guys are saying, stepping fully into offering my gifts out into this world. Yes, finding the land and having the finances to purchase and build a transformational center for ceremony, retreats, workshops, community space, trusting the universe to bring in the support that is needed for both to thrive. Yes. Dr. Sandra says, love seeds always. Yes. 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 Holly says, you are going to grow vulnerability and connection, having the courage of my convictions, peace and presence. And Sai is saying, grow and nurture seedlings of fearless creativity, childlike, sincere casualness, easy, comfortable presence, uplifting humor, ceremonial effects, and essence. These are also beautiful. Thank you so much for these deep reflections. And Marissa says, growing into listening deeply to the land, to the spirits that cannot speak, and giving them a voice so that they can consciously create and collaborate through my team and my hands. So beautiful. And I am just sending you all nurturing energies so that all your seeds will grow into the most beautiful plants, trees, blossoms, whatever they're meant to become.
Thank you, Emily. So part of this ritual of the fire and letting go it no longer serves us and planting seeds for the future is actually something I first learned about in the Buddha Agya ceremonies with the Santo Daime. I'd love if we, as we start to come to a close, I'd love to see if Gabrielle has anything to share about the fire ceremony that is often done with Buddha Agya and some of the history of that lineage and why that's important to have the ritual of the sacred fire.
So, talking about the fire, I really enjoy when in the opening of our meeting here, we call the four directions and the sacred elements. And that is the foundation of this study that I've been part of it for the past 5 years, which is the flight of the eagle. It's a ceremony that was developed by my teacher from Brazil, LeiAmora, also called Padrinho Leo in Brazil. He researched for over 30 years different lineages of shamanic rituals in South America and also in North America. And he created this structure, which is a ceremony that we do, ayahuasca ceremony, where it's connected to the elements, and the medicine wheel, the four directions. So the whole setup of the ceremony, it's around the medicine wheel. So we have the east where comes the sun, where the sun rises. It's usually the door of our circle, and we have a fire in the center. And my teacher Leo, he wrote a book actually called Universal Shamanism, where he bring a lot of different ways from different traditions in this book, and he's very inspired in the way how the Native American connect with the sacred elements and the directions. So we set this 4 directions. We make a fire where we point a arrow to the east, and that is our main altar, is the fire. Because we understand that like the fire brings what is the most, it's like a representation of the power of God, of the Great Spirit. Here, we can see in that flames the magic, the force. And in every temple, every lineage always have like a candle or a fire, or they will light and bring this element as part of their sacred reverence. And for us is this fire in the center. So through the whole night, we have this fire being kept, and we have fire keepers, who is the person who care for that fire, since getting the wood and feeding that flame. That we understand that's where all our prayer, our intention converge on that point of light, connect all our minds and hearts into this unity, right? And we have also a moment in the journey where, which is very much inspired in the Ho'oponopono, which is Hawaiian shamanism, traditional use of these 4 sentences, and also the understanding that we are responsible for all our feelings, and no one else take responsibility for everything that we experience in life, and we can find this the a very truthful sense of uh, gratitude and forgiveness, and through the flame and through the fire we do a ritual, calling memories, and we use wood sticks to do a energetic exchange with putting that memories into the stick, and then in a moment in the ceremony when we call this sacred energy of fire, we can burn. And it's a very powerful tool that we have there. A lot of catharsis and emotional release from a lot of traumatic process with substance, with emotions, with people, with past lives. We see being released in the power of fire, and how powerful the intention, the power of intention and focus for when we want to transform, purify, turn into ashes and rebirth, like a phoenix, right? So it's very beautiful to be connected with the fire and all the other sacred elements, right? And like I was saying, we go around the medicine wheel. We use each moment of our ceremony. It's like it's focused on one of the spirits and of the elements, of the directions, and navigate through the medicine wheel till we come back to earth and see the sunrise. It's pretty much on share about the flight of the eagle, right? This very beautiful journey that I've been part of, and a lot of fun doing it, and also very happy to connect with, make a lot of friends, making the family bigger, right? That's it.
Thank you, Gabrielle. I'm just kind of picturing that phoenix coming out of the ashes of the fire and just bringing me back to memories of being around the sacred fire and watching everyone let go of what no longer serves them. We have a request from someone in our community tonight. I think before we come to a close, if you would be open to singing or playing one of the hymns from the Santo Daime. This is from our dear sister, Roberta. And you're on mute.
I will do the floresta. A floresta. It's a waltz, yeah. Okay.
Let me just stay on that.
Huh?
Let me just stay on that.
Yeah, you can. No, you can see. I would like to have the shaker the whole time. Maybe if you just play the shaker, you can do it. Here we go. Are we on?
Yeah.
So, the music from Santo Daime, it's a lot of the words, for those who don't speak Portuguese. It's a reverence to Mother Nature and to divine beings from the forest, and also divine beings from the Christian archetypes that it's very present in Brazil. And this hymn, it's from our actual leader of the Santo Daime movement, Padrinho Alfredo, who is a poet from the forest and have a very beautiful songs that we receive. We believe that we receive, we channel the songs, not compose. We channel from another dimension. So this hymn is called Da Floresta, From the Forest. Oi, som. Força para trabalhar. Da floresta é desejo, força para trabalhar. Da floresta eu tenho tudo me dá. Da floresta eu tenho tudo me dá. É um trino na floresta, a maneira que é feita. É um trino na floresta. Harmoniza e deixa a terra satisfeita. Com amor se harmoniza e deixa a terra satisfeita. Vivemos na terra com toda a satisfação. Vivemos na terra com toda a satisfação. E se queremos ter a vida, agradecemos a nossa mãe. E se queremos ter a vida, agradecemos a nossa mãe. A floresta é preciso força para trabalhar. A floresta é preciso força para trabalhar. A floresta tem tudo me dá. A floresta tem tudo me dá. É um trino da floresta, da maneira que é feita. É um trino da floresta, da maneira que é feita. Com amor se harmoniza e deixa a terra satisfeita. Com amor se harmoniza e deixa a terra satisfeita. Devemos viver na terra com toda a satisfação. Devemos viver na terra com toda a satisfação. E se queremos ter a vida, agradecemos a nossa mãe. E se queremos ter a vida, agradecemos a nossa mãe. From the forest, I receive strength to work. It's pretty much what it says. We'll just sing a different style. That's one of my hymns. It's how we call the songs. It's a hymn that is offered to my teacher Leo Artesi and talk about the flight of the eagle. Drum, let me play the shaker Salve a água, salve a terra, salve o mar, salve o vento, né? Viva toda a mãe natureza.
Viva!
Muito bem, isso aí.
Viva! House, house.
That's so fun. My face hurts from smiling so much. Jeez. Thanks, guys. Again.
Thank you so much, Gabrielle. Roberta said that she spent several weeks with your church in Mapia in Rio in 1996. And I'm sure she's really grateful for that opportunity to hear that music. So it's been such an honor to have Gabrielle, Jazz, a percussionist, to here with us today. What is your name, dear friend?
Boaz. My name is Boaz. I go by Boaz Drum. It's just such an honor to play with these beautiful beings of light and carrier of wisdom. Thank you so much. Really honor to be able to share stage with you, share a heart with you, share a vision. Muito gratidão.
Alegria.
Alegria. Thank you for being with us today. And we'd love to just like, we're going to bring back one more slide just so everyone can know where to find us in the Psychedelic Society. If you enjoyed the ceremony today, we would love to plant the seed to get to know you. And the seed I'm planting today is for each person that's here with us today to join the Psychedelic Society. And we would love to nourish your roots with community and connection and integration and all the offerings that we offer. We are cooking up a big new offering. And Seth, do you want to share about the next big course that we're about to do?
Yeah, I'd love to. We're just really excited to help our community kind of step up their game, and we kind of see all these new models emerging for what's the future of psychedelics. We got Compass Pathways coming in with the Dr. Evil style. We got a lot of clinical style. Like Oregon's coming in with the psilocybin therapy, and the model I think that we speak to and are really showing up for the most is just like the friends helping friends model. We're just trying to help the average hippie step their game up a little bit, and this is just another way. Obviously, that's not the only copy we're using for this event, but we're just really excited to help people develop the skills to trip sit for their friends and family, know when they should, when they shouldn't, know how to self-care for that process, know how to help walk people through somewhat of a process to help screen themselves, help them develop a structure of their own choosing if they'd like to, kind of pick and piece things together. So this is a lot about skills and tools to really help people in our community just take their game up to the next step, because we've seen so many folks come through our integration circles asking questions. Hey, I'm the rainbow sheep of my family, and it used to be the black sheep, but I'm coming around and doing my healing work, and my family's noticing and they want some of that action. So we just want to help put those people in an empowered position to really do the best by their loved ones. And so this is not a certification course. This is simply a way to really maximize the impact that you can have on the people around you, and to know, when it's the right time, when it's not. So trip sitting for friends and family, we're going to be bringing this beautiful offering together over the next couple of months. And I think, our launch date's around 3 months from now, and we're just really having a lot of fun in the background putting this thing together. Yeah, thanks, y'all. Really hope to see you guys there, and just thanks for all the support tonight and coming to hang.
Yes, thank you all so much for your support tonight, for being here, and for your potent participation. It's been so amazing to get to feel like we got to know some of you in the audience, and we'd love for you to join our community. So I just put a little sign up sheet in the chat if you're interested in joining our next trip sitting for friends and family. Keep your friends and family safe. We'd love to announce that to you and have you be the first to learn about that. And
Really, Daniel's saying that is also what he's either putting together or recently put together, so we'll have to hash it out.
Battle of the friends and family.
Yeah, I own friends and family. We patented it, okay?
And we also just put our website there in the chat. If you would love to, we'd love to have you at some of our events. We offer many different events and integration circles and support groups, ways that you can deepen your psychedelic understanding, your knowledge, your community. And I'm really passionate about the psychedelic recovery community that we have. And we'd love just to have you join us in all of our ongoing groups. We also offer a Sacred Sunday, which is a ceremony similar to this, but it's community powered. And that happens on the 4th Sundays of the month. All of our offerings are by donation, and we just welcome people to join us and be a part of our global healing community. And you can also find out about Jazz LeiAmora. She has incredible music at jazzleiamora.com, and we have that on the slide here. I'll also put her website in the chat. Jazz, would you like to say anything in closing?
You read my mind. I was like, I need to chat right now. Yes, I have an album, much anticipated my whole lifetime to make this album, and it's coming out on winter solstice, 12/21/21, because that numerology sounds so good. So check me out. I put the link in the chat with my music video, and I have some stuff on SoundCloud. Helpicino. And yeah, you can find me all over, and I'm always doing live stuff. We're gonna do more live interactions with our practices, so check me out on Insta, add me, share it, and thank you all for your support being here.
Thank you so much, Jazz. Emily, any closing words from you?
Just want to say thank you so much, and I love you all so much, and just know each and every one of you is loved and amazing. So thank you for existing. Blessed be.
Keep it positive, yes.
Always.
I love it.
Emily is always such a beacon of light in our organization, and she ripples that out throughout the universe, the cosmos. And I'm just filled with so much gratitude for this opportunity to share with you all today, and really feel the energy from the community that Daniel always creates. It's always such a welcoming, honest, authentic, integral, beautiful community. And just really, really grateful for this opportunity.
It's only because you're in it.
It's like co-creation of our energies.
Thank you. That was just lovely all the way around. I took some good notes. I checked in with myself. I got to move my body a little bit. That was super nice after sitting in this chair all day. Yeah, you guys always bring the magic. You must be magic.
It's all magic.
And so for everybody, all 40 of you who've managed to stay up till late night, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you bright and early tomorrow, noon Eastern time.
Would it be possible for us to leave one closing song with Jazz and her team?
Oh, I was going to insist.
Oh, great. Excellent.
Encore, encore,
Encore.
encore.
Where's my lighter?
One more. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna do Illumina.
Or Remember Me.
Oh, you want that one? Okay, you're the boss, you're the boss. Okay, she doesn't like that song.
No, I do. I love that song. I just
Hey.
love the Remember Me one.
Well, hey, remember me when the sun comes up in the morning sky. There I will be, soaring with the eagles, so I feel free. Remember me down the road, hand in hand, you and me, hey, oh, hey, hey, oh, hey. Remember me when the sun comes up in the morning sky. There I will be, soaring with the eagles, so I feel free. Remember me down the road, hand in hand, you and me, hey, oh, hey. Oh, just do another one really quick.
So we're gonna enjoy our opportunity here and sing also the Illumina, which is a song in reverence of the central sun and Pachamama, Mother Earth. And I think that song brings together all the prayer and synthesize this prayer for Mother Earth, the waters, for all the sacred elements and all of us.
Oh, grandioso like 2 years now. Just kidding. Love y'all. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much. Love you guys. Such a pleasure and honor to share this space with you. Thank you,
Yeah,
Daniel.
thank you all so much.
Much love, everyone. Have a great night.
Good night.